I never wanted locker 108. Actually, I didn't even ask for it. It was the first day of junior year and they handed us these stupid printout schedules with our new locker numbers and combos like it was some kind of lottery. My best friend, Zoe, scored one in the senior hallway with actual daylight. Me? I got stuck in the basement wing, the weird part of school where the AC wheezes like it's dying and the vending machine hasn't worked since 2014. Locker 108. You got cursed, Zoe joked, flipping her hair as she glanced at my paper. That wing smells like soup and despair. She wasn't wrong. The hall was eerily quiet when I got there. Dusty, cold, and weirdly dim for a Tuesday morning. It felt like the part of school everyone forgot existed, like time kinda, stalled there. I found locker 108 near the water fountain that leaked constantly. The metal was dented and slightly off color, like someone had tried to cover up fire damage with gray paint. The lock turned stiff and when I finally yanked it open, something clattered inside. At first I thought it was just some trash from last year. But as I looked closer, I noticed the back panel wasn't flush. Like, at all. It had a small slit and something had been jammed inside. Curiosity kicked in hard. I dug my fingers in, pried the panel loose, and that's when I found it. A small black journal, duct taped behind the panel. It was old. The cover was worn down and the edges were frayed, but the duct tape was recent. As if someone wanted to hide it just long enough for someone else to find it, or maybe not find it at all. I should have turned it in. That would have been the normal thing to do. But I didn't. Because when I flipped it open, the first thing I saw was this scribbled warning in red ink. If you're reading this, it's already watching you. I blinked. Literally blinked like 5 times, trying to figure out if someone was pranking me. Nope. Below it was a name, written in all caps, Derek M. Crawley. The kid who transferred out last year. The one who disappeared without a single goodbye post or even a goodbye lunch. I'd had a class with him, we weren't friends or anything, but I remember he used to sit in the back with a hoodie pulled tight and always had this haunted look in his eyes. And now here was his journal. In my locker. With a warning that gave me instant chills. I glanced around the hallway like an idiot, as if someone might jump out and yell, "Gotcha!" But I was alone. The bell rang overhead, echoing down the empty corridor. I shoved the journal into my backpack and slammed the locker shut. I didn't know it yet, but that moment, the exact second I touched the journal, everything started to change. The dreams. The shadow in the hallway. The sound I kept hearing when no one else did. Locker 108 wasn't just haunted. It was a doorway. And someone, or something, had just opened it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Like at all. It wasn't just the usual back-to-school insomnia. It was something else. Something deeper. The kind of restlessness that makes your heart beat too fast for no reason and your skin crawl like invisible ants are walking across it. I kept replaying the moment I found the journal over and over again. That warning, if you're reading this, it's already watching you. I tried to brush it off. Told myself it was just some dramatic emo kid trying to freak people out. But when I closed my eyes, I didn't see darkness. I saw eyes. Pale ones. Glowing faintly in what looked like a tunnel. Then I heard whispers, not words, just breathy, broken sounds like someone was trying to speak through water. I jolted awake at 3:17 a.m. drenched in sweat. My room was dead silent. But outside my window in the backyard, the motion light flicked on. No wind. No raccoons. Nothing. Just the light. And then a flicker of movement. Something darted past the bushes. Too big to be a cat. Too fast to be a person. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, my hands were shaking. I shoved the journal into my backpack and headed for school, needing answers and kinda wishing I hadn't taken it in the first place. Second period, I slipped into the library while Miss Tranter was distracted yelling at a sophomore for dog-earing the pages of To Kill a Mockingbird. I found an empty corner table, pulled out the journal, and started flipping through it for real. It wasn't just random notes. It was a log. Derek had documented everything, drawings of symbols he kept seeing around school, maps of the basement wing, time-stamped entries of when it would appear. He called it the Echo. September 22nd, 1:13 a.m., Echo appeared by stairwell 3. Shadow elongated. No face. Just static. September 29th, it moved something in the hallway. Lockers were open. Mrs. Kim said it was a break-in. I know it wasn't. October 2nd, I think it knows I see it now. The pages started to get shakier the further I went. Ink smudged. Writing got more frantic. One entry just said, "Don't follow the ringing." That's when I noticed the symbol he kept sketching over and over, a jagged circle with a line through it like a crack. And next to it, in tiny scrawled handwriting, "Find the second journal. Old drama wing. Room B4. I slammed the journal shut so fast I nearly got a paper cut. Because room B4? It's been sealed off since freshman year. And no one talks about why. Not anymore. I didn't tell Zoe. Not yet. She'd think I was having some sort of mental breakdown, which fair. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of one. But something in me needed to know what Derek saw. What this echo thing really was. And what the hell happened in room B4. After school I hung back. Pretended I was waiting for a ride. When the last of the buses pulled out and the hallway lights flickered down to half power, I made my move. The old drama wing was behind the auditorium, way past the music rooms, through a narrow hallway filled with stacks of unused chairs and those old, cracked display cases with dusty trophies from 2003. I had to squeeze past a folded-up backdrop of a forest scene and duck under a cobweb-covered lighting rig. It felt like crawling into a forgotten part of the world. When I finally made it to the door marked B4, my breath caught. It had been boarded up. Like literally. Wooden planks. Nailed in tight. The kind of thing you'd see in horror movies when a haunted house is trying to keep something in. Or keep someone out. I almost left right then. My common sense was screaming, begging me to turn around and go home and forget any of this ever happened. But I couldn't. Instead, I started checking the boards. One was loose at the bottom, split near the edge where the nail had rusted out. I slipped my fingers into the crack, tugged it gently, and with a little effort and a lot of noise, pried it loose. Enough space to squeeze through. Inside it was pitch black. My phone flashlight barely lit up more than a few feet ahead. Dust filled the air, swirling in little currents every time I moved. I stepped in. B4 looked like it had once been a costume storage room. Racks of moth-eaten clothes, broken mannequins, and a busted mirror that had "Don't Look" written across it in faded Sharpie. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly. Maybe another journal? A clue? And then I heard it. Ringing. Faint at first. Like an old rotary phone buried under layers of time. It was coming from the far corner. I lifted my light and aimed it toward the sound, but there was nothing there. Just a wall. And a mirror. Except, the mirror didn't reflect me. It showed someone else. Someone standing behind me. And their eyes were glowing white. I didn't look behind me. I couldn't look behind me. Every part of me screamed to turn around, to run, to do literally anything other than just stand there frozen like a total idiot. But my legs were cement. My heart felt like it was pounding out of rhythm, like some kind of alarm bell inside my chest. The glowing-eyed figure in the mirror didn't move. It didn't blink. It didn't breathe. It just watched. I raised my phone flashlight a little higher, shaking like I was holding it during an earthquake, and aimed it at the space behind me. Nothing. Just racks of dusty old costumes and silence. But when I looked back at the mirror, the figure was closer. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I backed out of the room like I was escaping a crime scene. Didn't even look where I was going, just kept my eyes locked on the mirror as I stumbled out of the boards and into the hallway, my backpack swinging wildly behind me. I didn't stop until I was in the janitor's closet 2 doors down, sitting on an overturned mop bucket and hyperventilating like I'd just run a marathon. Once my brain stopped short-circuiting, I realized something else. I hadn't found the second journal. The mirror was a trap. The ringing, the eyes, it was all bait. And I fell for it. Still catching my breath, I reached into my bag and yanked out Derek's journal again. I scanned the entries for anything I might have missed. Anything about mirrors. And there it was. A single, scribbled line tucked into the corner of one page like it didn't want to be noticed. Reflections lie. Don't let it see your fear. Don't let it copy you. Copy me? I flipped back to the last page and noticed something that hadn't been there before. Another note. Fresh ink. My name. My name written at the bottom in Derek's handwriting. It's inside now. Whatever you do, don't answer the phone. That was when my phone buzzed in my pocket. A call. Unknown number. No ringtone. Just the buzzing. It didn't stop. It kept going, even when I hit decline. Then it started again. And again. And I swear to God, the second time I declined it, the buzzing stopped and I heard a whisper. From inside the janitor's closet. Answer it. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Instead, I did what any normal, terrified high schooler would do. I ran. I didn't stop until I found Zoe outside the front office, trying to win a fight with the snack machine over a stuck bag of chips. She looked up as I skidded to a stop next to her, panting, pale, and probably looking like I just crawled out of a horror movie. "Whoa," she said, eyebrows raising. "Did you just get possessed by the vending machine too?" I didn't answer. I just opened my mouth and whispered, "I think I need your help." Because I wasn't going back into that hallway alone. Not ever again. Zoe blinked at me. "Wait. You want me to go into the creepy forbidden drama room with you?" I nodded. "Hard. You're the one who always said I watched too many horror movies. Time to prove you'd survive one." "You do watch too many horror movies," she muttered. But then she looked at me a little closer. Her smirk dropped. "Okay, wow. You're legit freaked out. What happened?" So I told her. Not everything. Not about the dreams or the eyes, but enough. Enough to make her eyes widen and her voice drop. "You think Derek left a second journal in that room?" "I know he did. But something else is in there too. I think it knows I'm looking for it now." She stared at me, chewing on her lip. Then she sighed. "Fine. But if I die in a haunted theater room, I'm gonna haunt you from the afterlife with glitter bombs." That's real friendship right there. We went back after school the next day, armed with flashlights, snacks, and one of Zoe's dad's old screwdrivers to pry open the boards. Zoe did most of the work, muttering things like, "This better not ruin my nails," while I stood guard. Once we were in, I led her straight to the mirror. I expected something, a shadow, a whisper, a sudden chill. But this time it was still. Zoe looked at the glass and raised a brow. "Weird. It's like the reflection lags." I frowned. She was right. Our movements were just slightly off. Not like a glitch, more like a delay. Like the mirror was copying us just a second too late. "It was different before," I whispered. "There was someone else. With glowing eyes." She turned slowly toward me. "Glowing how?" Before I could answer, she froze. Her face paled. "Wait," she said. "Where's your reflection?" I spun back to the mirror. My reflection was gone. Zoe was still there, or her mirrored self was, but I wasn't. Just an empty space where I should have been. Then the light started to dim. Not in the room. In the mirror. Something was walking into frame. Stepping into the space where my reflection should have been. Its limbs were too long. Its eyes glowed like twin moons. I grabbed Zoe's arm. "We have to go. Now." But the door we came through? Gone. Covered in boards again, like we'd never touched it. And from the mirror we heard it. A ring. Louder this time. Urgent. Relentless. And then something even worse. A voice. It came from behind us, cold and wrong and echoing in our bones. "You looked too long. Now it remembers your face." Zoe gripped my hand tighter than I thought was possible. "I changed my mind. I hate horror movies." "Me too. Especially when we were starring in one." We couldn't move. I wanted to run. Zoe did too. I could feel her muscles tensing under my grip, but the mirror had us locked in like a spell. The figure inside it was still getting closer. Its arms didn't move right. Like it was trying to mimic human motion but didn't understand it. Zoe whispered, "Why isn't it breaking the glass?" "I think it doesn't have to." The ringing started again. Not just from the mirror this time. From my backpack. The phone. Buzz. 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 I dropped to the ground and yanked my bag open, heart hammering. The screen was black. The phone wasn't even on. But it was still vibrating. And then it answered itself. A voice came through, low and distant, like it was calling from the bottom of a well. "Hello? Is this me?" Zoe screamed. Because the voice wasn't mine. But it was. It sounded like me, just warped. Wrong. Off by a second, like my reflection had learned how to talk. I threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. The ringing stopped. And so did the figure. It froze mid-step in the mirror. Tilted its head. And then it smiled. "Run!" I yelled. We sprinted for the door, but it was still boarded shut. Zoe slammed her flashlight against the boards while I searched for anything heavy, anything sharp, anything that could break us out. The mannequins. I tackled one to the ground, grabbed its detached leg, and rammed it into the planks. Once. Twice. A crack. A third time, the board split open. We squeezed through the gap just as the glass behind us shattered. I didn't look back. We bolted down the hallway like our lives depended on it, because honestly, they probably did. When we finally made it to the gym hallway, bathed in fluorescent light and the sound of a distant basketball practice, we collapsed onto the floor. Gasping. Shaking. Alive. Zoe was the first to speak. Okay, she panted, so we're skipping class tomorrow and burning that room to the ground, right? I managed a laugh. It was thin and a little hysterical. Yeah, totally. But I was lying. Because back in the drama room where the mirror had stood, I saw something else for just a split second before we escaped. Not a second journal. A hole. In the wall. Jagged, pulsing, and glowing with the same pale light as the eyes. Whatever the echo was, it had found a way through. And I didn't think we were going to be able to shut the door again. We didn't talk about it for the rest of the night. Not even over text. Zoe just sent me a meme of a dog sitting in a burning room saying this is fine. And I sent back the one where SpongeBob's soul leaves his body. But under the jokes I could tell we were both shaken. Neither of us could explain what we saw. And we definitely couldn't explain the hole in the wall, the one that looked like a tear in the fabric of reality. So the next day, I did what any reckless junior with an overactive sense of curiosity would do. I cut sixth period and snuck back. The hallway was dead silent. The boards were still busted open. No one had repaired them. Like the school itself was pretending the room didn't exist. Inside, the mirror was gone. Shards of glass littered the ground, but the frame vanished. And where the mirror had stood, there was now a jagged hole in the brick wall, still glowing faintly, like it was pulsing with its own heartbeat. It wasn't big. Maybe just wide enough for me to crawl through. I should have left. Instead, I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and stuck my head through. It wasn't just a wall. It was a tunnel. Like a crawl space, but not made by the school. The walls weren't drywall or insulation. They were something darker, smoother, almost like obsidian, but warm to the touch. I crawled forward. The air changed. The silence got deeper. Heavier. Like I was underwater, but not wet. Then I saw them. Eyes. Glowing pale, dozens of them. Watching from the walls, blinking slowly, not with lids but with shadows. I kept going until the tunnel opened into a small room. And there, sitting dead center on a pedestal made of what looked like melted lockers, was the second journal. I reached out and grabbed it. Cold. So cold it burned. And the second I touched it, the walls began to hum. Not loud, more like a vibration through my bones. And a voice again, except this time inside my head. You've opened the door. Now we remember you. I turned and ran. I don't remember crawling back. Just the feeling of being chased. Even if I didn't look back, even if I didn't hear footsteps, I knew something was behind me. When I finally burst back into the drama room, I slammed the broken boards back into place and collapsed against the wall. The journal was in my hands. It was real. And written across the front in the same red ink. Property of Derek M. Crawley. Do not open unless you are ready to lose everything. I didn't open it right away. The second journal sat in my backpack like it was radioactive. Every time I walked by it, I swear I could feel this low hum in my bones like a warning. Like it was alive. I didn't even tell Zoe I had it. Not yet. I knew she'd freak. Or worse, she'd want to open it with me. And I couldn't risk her getting dragged into whatever this was. So that night, when the house was quiet and my mom was downstairs watching a baking show on full volume like the TV owed her money, I sat on my bed, turned on my reading lamp, and opened the cover. The first page wasn't a warning. It wasn't even words. It was a drawing. A perfect sketch of me. Sitting on my bed. Wearing the same hoodie. Same jeans. Same lamp on. In the sketch, my eyes were hollow. I slammed the book shut, heart pounding. My window creaked like someone had brushed past it. When I peeked through the blinds, the street was empty. Except for the mailbox. It was open. I waited 10 minutes, then forced myself to open the journal again. This time there were words. Dozens of entries. Some in Derek's handwriting. Some weren't. Different ink. Different pressure. As if more than one person or thing had written in it. The entries were different too. Like a conversation. Derek, I saw it again last night. It was in my reflection. You looked too long. Derek, I tried to warn someone. I think it punished them. Now it sees through you. Page after page blurred together in a rising panic. Symbols. Codes. A list of names, student names. Some were crossed out. Then I found mine. My name. Underlined. Dated yesterday. I dropped the book. Literally dropped it like it bit me. Then came the sound. Not a ring. Not a whisper. A knock. From inside my closet. Once. Twice. Then a voice. Raspy. Garbled. Like it was trying to imitate a human. Open it again. I backed up to my door, hand fumbling for the knob. But it wouldn't turn. My room was locked. From the inside. And the closet door was slowly creaking open. Whatever was in the journal wasn't just memories. It was an invitation. I don't remember unlocking the door. 1 second I was pressed against it with a death grip on the knob. The next I was tumbling backward into the hallway, my mom yelling something from the stairs about scaring the dog. The closet was empty. Like, too empty. My old jackets? Gone. Shoeboxes? Gone. Even the weird ceramic clown head my aunt gave me as a joke last Christmas, gone. Like the inside had been scrubbed clean. But the journal was still there. I'd left it on the floor, but now it was neatly placed back on my bed. Open. Pages fluttering like they were being turned by a breeze I couldn't feel. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat in bed with the journal closed and a baseball bat in my lap, waiting for something else to knock. It didn't. The next morning, I told Zoe everything. Like everything. The tunnel. The glowing eyes. The sketch. The knock. The voice. She stared at me for a long time and then said, "Okay, yeah, we're calling a priest. Or an exorcist. Or a hacker. I don't know. Someone." I laughed, and it felt like the first real breath I'd had in days. Can you hack a ghost? Maybe it's AI. Maybe it's, like, Echo GPT. We laughed too hard at that one. But under the laughter we both knew the truth, this wasn't over. So we made a plan. After school we'd go back. We'd bring the journals, flashlights, gloves, my old recorder from freshman AV class, anything we could think of. And we'd go back into the tunnel. Together. We didn't tell anyone. What were we supposed to say? Hey, we're gonna investigate an interdimensional void in the basement because a haunted journal told us to? Yeah, no. But I did leave a note in my phone, just in case. Scheduled it to send to my mom if I didn't come back by 8 p.m. Subject line, if you're reading this, I messed up. At 6:41 p.m., we stood outside room B4. I had both journals in my backpack. Zoe had her flashlight and a bag of Sour Patch Kids because, as she said, if we're gonna die, I'm not doing it without snacks. We pried the boards off again. The hole was still there. The hum was louder. And this time, the eyes were waiting. We didn't speak as we crawled back into the tunnel. The glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Steady. Slow. Too alive. The walls felt warmer this time, like they recognized us. Or maybe welcomed us back. The deeper we went, the more the sound changed. No longer a hum, but a whisper, thousands of them, overlapping, bleeding into each other. Some sounded like Derek. Some sounded like me. Zoe reached over and grabbed my hand. She didn't let go. The tunnel opened into the same dark chamber, but it looked different now. The pedestal was gone. In its place stood a mirror, massive, ancient-looking, with cracks running down the surface like lightning scars. And behind the glass was us. But not quite. Not really. The versions of us in the mirror didn't move like we did. Their eyes were too wide. Their smiles were just a little too sharp. Like they'd learned how to look human, but hadn't nailed it yet. My reflection raised its hand. So did I. Then it kept going. Its fingers stretched. Twisted. Bones cracking. And behind it, in the mirror, the glowing eyes multiplied. Dozens. Hundreds. The echo wasn't one thing. It was all of them. Everyone who'd ever looked too long. Listened too hard. Followed the ringing. Zoe stepped forward. We can't leave this open. I nodded. But how do we shut it? We didn't have to wait long for an answer. The second journal, the one in my bag, burst into flame. No warning. No spark. Just whoosh, bright blue fire curling up the pages without burning the rest of my stuff. Zoe yelped and dropped her Sour Patch Kids. The fire didn't hurt me. I reached into the flames, pulled the book out, and opened it. Only one message remained. Break the mirror. Seal the door. But you must leave something behind. I looked at Zoe. She looked at me. Then she pulled out her flashlight and chucked it, full force, at the mirror. Crack. The sound was deafening. The mirror shattered into shards of light. The tunnel roared like a collapsing building. The whispers turned to screams. The door behind us began to close, not like a door but like a throat contracting. Shrinking. Something behind, I muttered. What do we leave behind? Zoe didn't hesitate. She pulled out the first journal, Derek's journal, and tossed it into the collapsing void. The second it crossed the edge, everything stopped. Silence. Stillness. The glow vanished. The air turned cool. And the tunnel was gone. We crawled out into the drama room, covered in dust, hearts pounding. The boards were still there. The walls were just walls again. Zoe sat back against a broken chair and groaned. If I get haunted after this, I swear to God I'm blaming you. I smiled. For the first time in days, the smile felt real. The next morning, locker 108 was gone. Replaced by a new one. Different color. No dents. No one remembered the hallway had ever been damaged. The drama wing was officially under renovation. Derek M. Crawley's name was no longer in the system. Like it had all been erased. But I still had the second journal. And on the last blank page, something new had been written while I slept. Thank you for closing the door. But not every echo is trapped.